Thank you, Lou. It's quite an honor and pleasure to be here. I'm very humbled, and just want to commend Lou and Paul for the vision of doing something like this, and the great work and effort that goes into this. And Lou, you deserve a great thanks. So thank you for putting this on, Lou. I'm excited to be here. I see some familiar faces, which is always fun. I like most of them, so that's great. But seeing you all here, it's exciting because it tells me something about you, right? It tells me something about who you are and what you care about. And that pumps me up because for years I've been working in the faith sports realm in the Catholic Church. And we need a lot more people in that realm working. And so thank you for being here. Thank you for inspiring me and being someone to work alongside with. So I appreciate that. So we work in the college athletic world. Anybody know, Legend, you can't answer this, and Father Luke, if you're here now, how many college athletes are around the country? Anybody know? Ben, you might know. About 500,000, 550,000. Right? And that's within somewhere around 20 million undergraduate students. So it's about 2.5%, 3% of the undergraduate population are college athletes. That's not a lot of men and women. But we have, I believe it's 32 NFL teams in the nation. As of this summer, when I last looked, every single head coach in the NFL was a former college athlete. We have, if you guys, I'm a lot of guys, so I'm assuming most of you know, but in the FBS, right? So the NCAA has 3 divisions: Division 3, 2, and then 1. Division 1 has a couple different divisions. The powerhouse programs in football are the FBS, Football Bowl Series. There's 128 FBS teams. Right? As of last summer, 123 of those head coaches were former college athletes. And I just say that because we're looking at, in the United States, in the sports industry, an over $400 billion industry, a really influential part of our culture. Sports. You guys know this, for good or bad. It's influential. And those at the college campus, those 500,000 athletes are going to become some of those future leaders that are speaking and shaping in a powerful way the culture, for good or bad. So it's a leverage point. And as a church, we desperately need to leverage that influence. And we're a little bit behind, which again is why I'm excited that you're here. So we need to leverage that influence, but at the same time, sports is one of the greatest formative and evangelistic opportunities in our culture today. I wholeheartedly believe that. And we can capitalize on that as Catholic institutions, and we need to, which is mostly why I'm excited that you're here, because you're walking alongside that journey to capitalize on the formative and evangelistic opportunity that sport provides for us and our young people. And I want to just share a couple themes that are crucial to our work on college campuses with college athletes. Because I think if every Catholic institution starts to live out these themes, things will be different. Our young generation will be in a much better place. Because I'm convinced that athletes have the potential to be tomorrow's world changers. Absolutely on the college campus, but also on the high school level and in the youth level because of their exposure to sports. And I don't want to get into the why. I'm going to assume most of you believe that. I'd love to talk if you want to know why I believe that. But I want to talk about how we can capitalize on the formative and evangelistic opportunities that sport gives us as a church. Because we need to get going. We need to get on that horse and smack it. And the two things, we got to be bold and we have to be intentional. We have to be bold and we have to be intentional. I went to a Jesuit high school. I was on the football team. And when you're on varsity, you can wear your jersey over your dress code, which for a high school football player, that's a really fun, exciting, because your ego gets bigger. So we got to wear our jerseys on game day, and we got to go to Mass, which was fun. It was just a fun tradition. We had this great old Jesuit chaplain that everyone loved. And I think we prayed before games. We did, because we always ended in Our Lady of Victory, pray for us, which everyone loves that, right? But that's all we did. Now, exposing people to the Eucharist is tremendous. We need to do that. It's the source and summit of our Catholic faith, as I trip and fall. We have to do that, and that was a great blessing in my life. But we can't just send people to Mass and say a prayer at the beginning of a game. That's not enough. We have to be bold. We have to acknowledge that our faith, that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and it must permeate every aspect of our life. Whether it's music, academics, but we're talking about athletics right now. Right? And we need to acknowledge that Christ needs to be part of that. When you're driving, if any of you have driven across the plains of Kansas, you have less time in purgatory, so that's a good thing to be excited about. But if you've ever driven before the sun comes up, all you can see is what your headlights shine on. That's all you can see. That's what going through athletics is like if Christ is not at the center. It's very limited, it's very narrow. But when that sun comes up, you can see for miles. It's beautiful. When Christ is at the center of the things in our life, it's like the sun coming up, and everything has clarity, and it's beautiful. But we need to be bold, we need to acknowledge that as Catholics, because we're behind. We need to acknowledge that. I asked a few college athletes, and former college athletes, I asked them recently, I said, hey, what do you wish you knew as a freshman? Okay, that's like a riddle. What do you wish you knew as a freshman that you know now as a college athlete in terms of integrating your faith in athletics? What do you wish you knew when you were a freshman? I just want to read a few responses. You can read more at faithinathletics.com if you want. So here's one. A former Division I All-American. As a freshman, I wish I would have known that my sport was a part of my call to holiness. Athletics and faith should not be separated. God calls us to serve where we are. By using our talents to glorify Him, He's able to sanctify our work and draw many souls to Himself. I spent so much time trying to balance my sport and faith, and sport would always win. It was scheduled into my life. It took so long for me to learn how to make them one. That's what we got to do. We got to be bold and acknowledge that can be a reality, right? It's part of our call to holiness. No matter where we are, even as a kid involved in a youth team, that's part of where God has them. That's part of where He wants them to be sharpened and sanctified. Another one. I wish I would have known that faith and athletics were not mutually exclusive. I attempted to segment my life into two pieces, athletics by day, faith by night. My fear was that if I only lived my faith in sports, my fear was that if I lived my faith in sports, I'd be soft. Anyone ever heard that concern? Your faith will make you soft as an athlete. If I'd only understood my faith could coexist with fierce competition and respectable rivalry, I may not have delayed a true incorporation of my faith those first few years of college. And then another former Division I athlete. This guy was a Big Ten football player. We're not in Big Ten country, are we? I wish day one someone sat down to explain how I can offer up and glorify God while using talents on the field. Athletics is the perfect fit with our faith. We have to be bold, and we have to acknowledge that. We have to acknowledge that Christ can and must be at the center of every activity, including athletics. Now, a side note, what I don't mean is we ram it down their throats. Okay, just FYI, that's not what I'm talking about. But we have to be bold. Second part of being bold is we have to apply it. And Paul gave a great vision of how SportsCenter helps apply that. We have to apply it. We have to be creative in giving our athletes ideas of how to incorporate faith into their life. That doesn't mean they have to pray a rosary during practice. That's not what I'm talking about. But can you imagine if you ended practice as a coach, or you coaches ended practice 15 minutes early, and asked your athletes, what were you thankful for today in practice? And after every one, you just thank Jesus out loud. Just starting to incorporate small things. So what if you ended practice early as a coach, and you asked your players, hey, what moment in practice did you remember to offer that pain or that suffering up to Christ on the cross? Or when did you remember to offer something up for a friend or a family member that's struggling? We had a former Division I All-American. She was a gymnast. She hated the balance beam. But every time she would practice on the balance beam, she would offer that experience up for the guy she was dating. And a year later, he became Catholic and is a phenomenal, now they're married now, phenomenal man and husband. Just utilizing that opportunity the Lord has given us. We got to be bold in acknowledging it. We got to be bold in applying it. And if you think of that, or again, you before practice even starts, asking your players, how are you going to unite this experience to the Lord? How are you going to offer this up? Right? It brings an integrity to their life where they see that Christ should be part of everything. And that can change their life. Because we live in a world that compartmentalizes everything. Right? I work with college students. Monday through Wednesday, they're a student. Thursday through Saturday, they just get drunk. And on Sunday, they're a Christian. That's not how we live life and flourish. But we have to be the ones that are bold in helping our young people see how to acknowledge Christ at the center and how to apply it. So we need to be bold. We need to be intentional. The second part. I was a missionary before we launched Varsity Catholic. I was a missionary at a college campus out east. It was a Catholic school. And we didn't have VC, as I said, but I was still trying to work with some of the athletes. And so I'd go to the soccer games around campus. And I noticed one of the guys, if you've ever known soccer players, they're a different group of men and women. But he had this long curly hair, typical soccer player. And he was one of the captains. And I was like, I need to meet this guy. I need to meet the captain because I want to start evangelizing these athletes. And wouldn't you know, I saw him come into the chapel one day, and I'm like, okay, I need to meet him. What's going on? And then I saw the president of the university, when I was walking across the quad, stopped me one day. And he's just chit-chatting, hey, Thomas, how you doing? What's going on? He says, hey, have you met Luke yet? No. You should meet Luke. He's from a big Catholic family. He needs a little kick in the pants. But I think he'd be someone you could really help. Okay, Lord, I'll finally try to meet Luke. So I'm trying to be intentional. I'm trying to plan. I'm sitting in the commuter side of the cafeteria, working, and I see Luke. You can't miss him. Walk, and he goes into this little market area to get a cup of coffee. So I pack up my stuff, get going. I start walking. As I'm approaching the marketplace, he's getting to the register. So I'm like, okay, that's really awkward. I don't want to do awkward things. So I keep walking, frustrated. Walk all the way around the other end of the building, 50, 60 yards, and I go to the bathroom. I'm washing my hands, and Luke walks into the bathroom. And I think, okay, I won't talk to him at the urinal because that's awkward. I don't want to do awkward things. So I wait outside the bathroom. So as soon as he walks out, I can talk to him, which is not awkward. So Luke walks out. His hands are probably still wet. I shake him. Luke, how are you? I'm Thomas. Love to chat with you if you got some time. So we went and we sat down. I said, Luke, you're doing a great job leading people on the field. You're a captain. You're a leader. How well are you doing leading people in life and in faith? Because that's what matters. And I'd love to help you be more intentional with that. And a couple days later, Luke responded and said, I'd love to take you up on your offer. And Luke's an amazing man. He's been playing professional soccer ever since then, which was in 2003, I believe, a long time. A great man of faith, great family man, doing amazing things in his parish, men and different stuff. A couple of his siblings came on and worked as missionaries with us. But he helped me get an athlete Bible study started. And the point is, we have to be intentional. We have to help others be intentional. One of our principles, if you've ever read scriptures, 2 Timothy, if you've read Paul's writing. 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 2. Paul's talking to Timothy. He's writing to Timothy. Timothy's one of his disciples. He says, Timothy, you have to entrust what you've learned from us to faithful men that can teach others the faith as well. St. Paul is encouraging him to be intentional in what he does and help others to be intentional in what they do, right? We have to plan. It's great, be bold, acknowledge things, apply things, but how are we going to put those into action, right? Are we planning? Are we thinking? Are we preparing? And are we being present? We started Varsity Catholic at the University of Nebraska. If there's any Husker fans in the room. And I was very blessed. The Lord providentially brought a Catholic coach at the time, and I was able to go to football practices, which is a prized thing at a big FBS program, to be able to go to practices. And I knew that I had to be intentional in my action there, because I wasn't a coach, I wasn't an official chaplain, I couldn't be out there making them on the butts, right? So I had to kind of be on the sideline, but not in the shadows, and look for moments where I could introduce myself to some players, or make an invitation to some of the players, and not be a distraction. And praise God, we had a dozen of those guys, those football guys, coming to a Bible study every week, right? One time there was a kid that I knew of. He was getting playing time, and his parents had connected with our chaplain in some of the games. So I knew who he was. They weren't Catholic, but he went to a Catholic school in California. And so after practice, I just went up and said, hey, Cam, what's going on, Thomas? I'm with Father. It's like, oh, cool. Actually, I want to become Catholic. It's like, okay, that's pretty easy. But sometimes all we have to do is show up. But show up with intentionality. So we have to be intentional. Some questions we can ask, right, as we think through this. How can I help my athletes, whether I'm a coach or not, how can I help them translate this experience into life? Like I said, it's one of the most formative opportunities in our life, but we have to help them translate that experience. Pope Pius XII said, sport properly directed develops character. We have to help them direct that, right? You've got college football players sprinting full speed down the field, sprinting full speed down the field, running at a guy sprinting at him. Okay, that hurts. That takes courage, right? That's not easy to do that. But yet when they step off the field, do they live courage in the right way, the same way? Sometimes they do. Sometimes they go a little nuts, right? They need help translating that experience into life. You can develop virtue and character in an amazing way, which is what Sports Leader does is a beautiful thing. But how does that look? What does that look like in our life? Right? So how can I help these athletes translate this experience in their life? What aspects can I bring to my team? Or how can I shape a culture on this team that helps my athletes thrive as a disciple of Jesus Christ? Because that's what it's all about. We have to be intentional, we have to plan, we have to prepare, we have to be present. And if you're going to wrap it all up in this idea of being bold, being intentional, mentorship is something that we need desperately in our culture. Ladies, I'm really glad you're here. You bring a presence that we need here. But guys, I'm really excited there's a lot of you here. Because a couple winters ago, I was at the conference of the American Football Coaches Association. 6,000 or so men that are, most of them high school and college football coaches. Some of the most influential men in our culture, right, coaches. How well are they leading? How well are they influencing? How well are they mentoring those young men to be disciples of Christ? I don't know. But I'm glad you're here, and you're here to try to do that the right way. How many of you know who Tony Dungy is? Awesome. Any of you read Mentor Leadership? I know Ledge has. Phenomenal book. I highly recommend The Mentor Leader, it's called. He talks about being a mentor and the significance of it. And this isn't just for coaches. It's a book that could go out for anybody. He says, mentor leadership works best when the ones being mentored are aware that the mentor leader has a genuine concern for their development and success. Those we lead will be more receptive if they believe we genuinely want them to succeed. And then he goes on. He says a lot. It's a whole book, but just a couple snippets. Mentor leadership isn't focused on self or solely on short-term goals like wins or championships or stock prices or possessions. It's focused instead on the longer-term goal of bettering people's lives. We have a crisis of fatherhood in our culture, right? There's more women in churches than men. We've got to mentor these young men and women and help them understand where God fits into their life. To build that foundation that's going to catapult them and strengthen them and sustain them all the way through college. Because when they get to college, you can tell the ones that have a foundation and the ones that don't. The ones that don't, they crash hard. The ones that do, they bounce back up more quickly if they do crash. And that's why, again, I'm excited you're here, because you're working, for the most part, probably with younger men and women, helping them build that foundation, how important that is. And I think mentorship is a great thing. It's a lost art in our culture. And it's one of the biggest things that we do as missionaries with Focus and with Varsity Catholic. I mentioned that verse, 2 Timothy 2, verse 2. And being intentional in how we equip and train people. Mentorship, in whatever way is appropriate, at whatever level you work at, is also an investment of your life into people. Paul writes in Thessalonians, right, and he says that we imparted not only the gospel of God, but our very lives, because you have become dear to us. They invested themselves whenever they could, wherever they could. And that, I think, makes us effective if we try to form, if we want to evangelize young people. We have to care and we have to love them, especially in our culture today. That's very afraid of lecture and very scared of you telling me what to do. But if I know you love me and you care about me, I will listen to you and I will follow you. And that's why, again, I'm excited that all of you are here, because you're going to do that if you aren't already. This is just kind of a fun fact, that we're intentionally mentoring just over 200 college athletes across the country and serving about 1,000 college athletes in Bible studies. So it's fun. We have a lot of work to do. There's 500,000 of them. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but Lord willing, we'll get to more. But to hopefully create and shape tomorrow's world changers. Because I really do believe, as I said earlier, athletes, especially at the college campus, are tomorrow's world changers. And gosh, we need to change our world. We have a dark, scary place, and we need the light of Christ to penetrate it. So what are some things? What's a young person need from me? Right? Some questions to ask. Do they know Christ? It's a great question to ask. Does this person know Christ? How can I help them know Christ? How can I help them understand God's plan in their life more fully? What habits can I help them develop? Can I teach them how to pray? Can I help them develop a habit of prayer? Can I help them develop a habit of the sacramental life? Can I help them develop a habit of evangelization? I know that's a dirty word in Catholic circles, but can I help them develop that understanding of their influence to their peers and how to share their faith? Can I help them develop a life of virtue, right? How to live as a disciple? Go back to my time in high school. I love that we went to Mass and we did that prayer, but I was not a disciple of Christ. I did not live a good life. Part of that's my fault. But it would have been great to have a boldness and an intentionality in the athletic department that I played in as a high school, even as a college athlete. We need that. I whiz through that pretty fast, but I talk fast sometimes. There's a story of a Florida police officer. Tells a story. He's an inner city cop, right? And he got this call from the dispatcher. They said, there's a cow blocking the highway outside of town. Are you serious? I'm serious. Okay. So the police officer jets to this situation. And he gets on this 2-lane highway, and he gets to that point, and he sees the cars just backed up. And they're just creeping along and backed up for miles. And he cruises along the shoulder, and he gets to the spot where the cow is. And he says, there's already another police officer on the scene. And you can tell this police officer is from the inner city as well and has absolutely no idea what to do with a cow. It's probably the first time he's been that close to a cow in his life. And he's starting to sweat at this point, frustrated. And of course, everyone in the cars knows what to do, and they're all yelling at the police officer, pull him by the ear, hit him in the butt, yank his tail, kick him, all these different things. And the police officer slowly starts to just scream at the cow. And he is screaming, you can picture the scene, right? Screaming at a cow in the middle of the road. He yells at the police officer who's telling the story to get something. So the cop that just arrived goes into his trunk, pops his trunk. As soon as he pops the trunk, the other police officer that has been screaming at the cow pulls out his gun and shoots the cow dead in the middle of the road. You just picture that. Now, the cop, as he's telling the story, he's like, I saw some old lady pull out her phone and call someone. I don't know who she was calling, but I knew it wasn't good. So I got in my car and I got the hell out of there. And I say that because for some of us, this idea of being bold, being intentional, of evangelizing and forming young people can be an overwhelming task. Where do I start? What do I do? And there's great resources out there, so we don't have to get mad and shoot the cow and get frustrated, right? Sports Leader is one of those great resources for us. Obviously, you guys are here learning about that. Some of you are utilizing that. I love them. I think they're amazing, doing great things. Faithandathletics.com, I mentioned you as a blog with some resources there. If you want some more leadership mental development for your athletes with a faith piece, go to 12equals3.com. Look at that. I do have, I can't remember if we mentioned this, I do have a book here that I wrote that's geared for athletes, but also for coaches to use. And I'm not just plugging it because it's mine, I'm plugging it because I think it is a great tool. And some folks here that have used it. It's 100 reflections for athletes. It's something you can give to athletes individually. It's something you can use in a small group setting, a large group reflection, chapel kind of thing. Something you can do in that one-on-one or one-on-two mentorship as well. I've got a few in the back if you have cash, $10. You go to Amazon and buy something like that. So my point is there's resources. There's things that we can use. There's not as many as I would like, but they're growing. They're out there. Bishop Paprocki has a book as well. I can't think of the name. What's it? Holy Gold. Yeah, he'll be here in the morning. So there's different things out there that's growing. And I just encourage you to keep on this journey. Be bold if you are already. Be encouraged by that. Be intentional if you are already. Be encouraged by that. And if you're not, let's start. Because again, our world desperately needs our young people to lead tomorrow. Right? And that's the beauty of working with youth, is we're shaping the future leaders, the future world changers, and they're right in front of us. But we got to be bold, we got to proclaim Christ, we got to help them fit Christ in the middle of all aspects of their life. In sport, we're missing it. And we've missed it for too long. Santiago, I'm excited you're here from the church at large, recognizing this and trying to help us in that.